Okay. Hello and welcome to session 2 of Abstraction in Art. Let's just go over a few things first to jog your memories. The fire exits are downstairs and the toilets are also downstairs on the left, immediately on your left. So we'll start the presentation about abstraction in art.
It's not working very well.
This is the Microsoft we know and love.
Indeed. Always fails when you need it most. Okay, so there we go.
Yeah.
Coming up. Success. We'll get there. Right, okay. So, abstraction in art. This is our subject for the day. And these are the aims of our session. Basically, the aims of our session is to get a greater understanding of what the meaning of abstraction is in art and the implications that has. And we're also going to study the work of two artists, two famous abstract artists called Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko, as well as doing abstract drawing at the end of the session. So those are our aims. So, introduction. We'll do a little introduction now, and I'll talk to you a little bit about an important distinction which you need to understand to really understand abstract art and what it's about. So this distinction is between representational or figurative art, which means art that represents something outside of the self. For example, if you were going to draw a picture of an apple, that is representing something that's outside of yourself. It's representational because you're trying to represent something in physical reality. Now the distinction I will now make is between representational and non-objective art, or non-representational you can call it. Non-objective or non-representational art is basically the opposite of that. So it's a form of art that's concerned purely with colour, shape and form and the interplay between these different elements. So I've devised a little idea about to try and demonstrate this concept. If you think of a spectrum from 0 to 100% of representation, 100% I mean 0, 100% abstraction. So 0% would be something very classical, rendered, trying to represent something in a realistic way. The example I've used there is the Mona Lisa. Now, and then I put it down as 50% abstraction is something like cubism. Now, I don't know are any of you familiar with what cubism is? Or no? Okay, I'll briefly explain. Cubism was invented by Picasso and Braque, and what they wanted to do was represent figures, objects in more than one dimension, so you're seeing it from multiple angles at the same time. So the important thing to remember there is that on this spectrum we'll put it as 50% because it's still representing reality, but it's morphed it, it's played around with it, it's doing it from multiple angles. So it's kind of reality, but skewered, if you understand what I mean. And then 100% abstraction would be non-objective art. Now the example I've used here is Jackson Pollock. He's a famous abstract expressionist from America. He would splatter paint on a canvas and get these patterns of splattered, and he was basically non-objective art, or 100% on this spectrum that I've devised, means there is no reference to external reality, there is no reference to anything that you can see, there is no there's just basically no picture that you can recognise in there. Now, this is abstract art in its very nature is subjective, so there are degrees within this. So I've devised on your handout a spectrum of abstraction. So what I'd now like you to do is put down where you think each one lies in the spectrum of abstraction from using the values that I've given you. So you've got, it's either 0, 50, 65 or 100%.
Well, yeah, now I've got it, so I thought it was that one. I would, that's the beauty. I like it. But this one, I think it's
Not learnt how to draw an iris yet.
It's de Kooning, is it? De Kooning, the woman free. Is that what you're talking about?
No, the Rembrandt self-portrait.
Yes. Dissing Rembrandt.
But in the middle here, so see what it is. And that's
That's
maybe a woman
an
making
abstract,
it out.
doesn't represent
Can you
it.
go like it?
Yeah.
It's like a woman with the town here. So I'm going to say that it's...
Yeah, I didn't like it. It wasn't right.
Well, it's another one. That's a bit clearer. That's a woman.
How's everyone getting on?
Yeah.
Everyone getting on okay?
Yeah.
Are you finished on this side?
Yeah.
Finished on this side? How are you doing at the back?
Yeah.
Do you need a few extra time, or are you done?
No, we're okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you the answers now, bearing in mind that for two of them I was kind of, it is kind of subjective, so don't take them as gospel truth. But okay, so the spectrum of abstraction, 0% would be classical forms of representation. In this example I've used a self-portrait by Rembrandt. It's rendered in a realistic way. There's not much abstraction really. Next one, 50%, is the cubist picture. So it's representational.
I've got the woman instead.
Yeah, no, this is
I
what I'm
think
talking
that's-
about, the subjectivity of it.
Yeah, because I think that the cubist one is
Yeah.
less
You
recognisable.
can see the face, can't you?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, it's very hard. The thing I want to demonstrate with this is also the subjectivity, because this is my opinion, but someone else can see it in a different light. I mean, you could say that both of them are equally abstracted, or you could say one is more than the other. But it all comes down to perception and stuff. So then I 65%.
That's what I would have gone for 65%.
Yeah.
The woman.
I mean, because it's very heavily abstracted, it's more kind of dissolving, whereas the cubist picture maybe has slightly more structure to it, more kind of togetherness. But as I said, it's very, very subjective. And then the 100% one is the Kandinsky painting, which is obviously non-objective because there's no real reference to anything outside in real life. Okay.
Just one comment on that. Even the Rembrandt has
Yeah, a degree of abstraction.
aspects of abstraction about
This
it.
is
the
another
shadow
important
over the
point.
eyes.
Yeah.
for instance.
You could say all art is abstract because you cannot do a 100% realistic picture of something. You just can't do it. It's impossible. You can't do 100% accurate, literally 100% accurate. So all art has a degree of abstraction in it, in fact. Okay, so now I'm going to again talk about another distinction, differing styles of abstraction. So again, it's very wide. And, you know, I could talk to you all day about it really. I'm going to just cover two main different fields, which I think are quite important to understand. So it's very broad. I've already explained that. So I'll just talk about expressionism. Now, what expressionism is a style that distorts reality to present a subjective view of the world. So it's more of an inner view. And it's thought by the people who've started off painting in the expressionist manner to show a truer or more enhanced vision of reality, and to express. That's why it's called expressionism, because it is expressing your inner feelings and your inner world. And it's very, very loose and free, and it can be distorted at times. So I've got 3 examples there of expressionist paintings. The first one is a representational painting by an artist called Ludwig Ernst Kirchner. So that's representational, but it's expressionist. So yeah, and then there's an expressionist, which is kind of abstract and kind of representational at the same time. It's a painting by Vasily Kandinsky. So it's definitely representational, but it's very distorted and colourful and everything. And then there's an abstract expressionist painting by Jackson Pollock, who is so this is very abstract and but it's also expressionist because it's very distorted, kind of loose, very free and everything. Okay, so do you think you all understand the gist of what I'm talking about in terms of expressionism?
Yeah.
It's basically, to dilute it down, it's just very, very loose and very free and very colourful and, you know, not exactly representing reality like 100%. So this is the second style I'm going to talk about, more geometrical. I'm sure you'll all understand what geometrical means. Shapes, patterns, things of that nature. It's generally a lot more hard line edges when you're doing the painting, more precise brushwork. So some examples of styles, movements in art that were geometrical. There's a lot of stuff from Russia in the early 1920s, like constructivist and suprematist painting. And there's some examples just there. There's 2 constructivist paintings and a geometric abstract painting by Vasily Kandinsky. So to just dilute that into very easy to understand format, it's just like, it's non-objective, it's patterns, it's shapes, things like that nature. Okay, so now we're going to just do a brief study and I'm going to show you some videos, and this is why I hope the audio works, of 2 abstract artists. So we're going to study these artists and then I'll give you a questionnaire afterwards to see if you can answer any questions about these 2 artists. So pay attention. So we're going to watch a video about Jackson Pollock. He's a famous abstract expressionist who's particularly notorious for the way he painted, which is onto a canvas on the floor, as opposed to what had been the tradition within European art for a long time, or Western art anyway. Okay. See how this goes. No, okay, wait. Just bear with me a second, I'll just turn the volume up. I hope this will be loud enough for everyone to hear. If it's not, just tell me.
You said, I don't paint nature, I am nature.
Can you get that? Jackson Pollock was one of the seminal figures in the abstract expressionist movement of abstract painting. The broad definition of various styles of painting that emerged in the late 1940s and 50s in America. Abstract expressionism was a style that emphasised freedom of expression, expressive use of paint, and a lack of explicit subject matter, all concerned with expressing emotional content, feelings, and states of mind through various styles of abstraction. Jackson Pollock was the leading figure in this new avant-garde movement and made the radical move of painting on the floor by dripping his paint onto large canvases, creating huge paintings with his drips and splatters. His early work was much influenced by a few key influences, most notably the ideas of Carl Jung, a noted psychologist, with his ideas of the collective unconscious and archetypes, and also the arts of Native Americans and their sand paintings, as well as European surrealism and some notable Mexican muralists. These influencing factors are quite obvious when one looks at the titles of the works. Totem Lesser One, for example, expressing his unconscious would continue to be the subject that he explored throughout his entire artistic output. Later work abandoned any reference or nods to objective reality and became a kind of pure, non-objective abstraction of expressive marks, splatters, and drips. These are the works for which he is best known. He denied that these were accidental works of art and that he was just splattering randomly, stressing that he had a degree of control over the flow given enough practice. He said that he didn't use the accident because he denied the accident, and that he wanted to express his feelings rather than illustrate them. Sadly, Pollock had quite a tortured life and suffered a lot of mental illness, probably some kind of bipolar disorder, and also alcoholism. He died at the age of 44 in a car crash. Okay, so was the volume alright for everyone, by the way?
No, it's a bit
It
low.
was very quiet, yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't at his dinner party.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'll give you a handout now and hopefully you can answer some questions just about Jackson Pollock. Yeah, it's not working for some reason, I'm not sure why. It's not actually going through the speakers at all.
At least you got it to work, Chris. When I wanted it to work for a long time, let me know probably.
It's just going for the laptop, isn't it?
You've got it plugged into the microphone.
Alright, no. Schoolboy ever. Must be a tutor, not a schoolboy. No,
We've
sorry,
all done
no.
it.
It's just questions.
That's
you
how
need
you
to
know.
look at. You need to look at any pictures you can look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two are very close together there.
Yeah. So it should work in the next one, hopefully. You're done on this side?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Don't know who's right though.
Well,
Do you want us to put the names on this?
yeah, if you want, yeah.
Yeah, hand them back to you.
You all done, everyone now? Everyone done? Okay, so it's answer time now. So, what movement of art was Jackson Pollock associated with?
Abstract.
Abstract expressionism, bang on. That's right, correct. So, what were some of the formative influences on Jackson Pollock's work?
Carl Jung.
Yes,
Mexican realist.
yes,
Native American something.
yep. And there's just one more.
European surrealism.
Yes. Oh, you're really good. You're really knowledgeable. What did Jackson Pollock do in terms of how he painted that was radical and different to anything that had been done
Painted on
before?
the floor.
Painted on the floor.
Dripped
He
his
dripped
paint.
his paint.
Yes. Yes. 10 out of 10. 100%. Well done. So we're just going to move on to the next study of an artist, play a video. It's going to be about Mark Rothko now, who is another abstract expressionist and colour field painter. So let's just play this. Hopefully the sound will be a bit louder now as well.
I'm here to stop your heart. I'm here to make pretty pictures.
Ooh, basic. Was a painter best known for his abstract colour field paintings, commonly associated with abstract expressionism in the New York school. Rothko's most famous paintings were his colour field works. Colour field being a painting that comprises of large area of colour, often applied quite flatly. Rothko, however, did not self-identify as a colour field painter, and even denied that he was an abstract artist. He was born in 1903 in Russia and moved to America in 1913. Started painting around about the 1920s and started off painting in an expressionistic manner. Expressionism being a movement that uses distortion to emphasise emotional content. His works then later evolved into a darkly surreal take on mythological subjects, Greek tragedies, etc., featuring distorted figures in dark colour. Tragedy was a subject that fascinated Rothko throughout his career, and he is known to have been very much inspired by German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche and his book The Birth of Tragedy.
The tragic notion of the image is always present in my mind. I can't point it out. There are no skull and bones.
He later experimented with what are termed multiforms, paintings that were seemingly floating shapes and colours in an empty space. Before evolving into his mature and well-known style, namely the colour-filled paintings. Rothko said his aim with his painting was to reflect the ecstasy and tragedy of human life, and that's all he was interested in was expressing human emotions.
I'm interested only in expressing basic human emotions. Tragedy, ecstasy, doom, and so on. And the fact that people break down and cry when confronted with my pictures shows that I communicate those basic emotions.
Later in his career, he was commissioned to paint a series of murals for the Four Seasons restaurant in Manhattan, known as the Seagram murals. This ultimately fell through because Rothko did not like the restaurant's pretentious atmosphere.
Anybody who will eat that kind of food for that kind of money will never look at a painting of mine.
He sadly committed suicide at the age of 66, cutting his wrists and overdosing on antidepressants when he was in his Okay, so got a second handout, just about the same thing again, but this time answering questions about Mark Rothko's work.
When they're very troubled time, you look through this book and see just the log lights.
Yeah, they think he suffered from major depression or something like that. Have one got one?
What do we say with the scientific models based on information, whose capacity is
Everyone getting on okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mondrian counts a bit as colour field then.
I suppose more geometrical, yeah, generally speaking. A lot of, some of the colourful painters are people like, I think it was, what's his name? Clifford Still. I don't know if you've heard of him before. It's kind of like, it's similar to Rothko, except it's kind of off on the side and it's very ripply. There's a few other guys as well. I can't remember their names though now. Barnett Newman, that's another one. He's got a few pieces in the Tate Modern. Not really that fond of his work though, but yeah, Barnett Newman's another one.
I've got a question. How many of these abstract painters made a lot of money in their lifetime?
Well, I mean, Mark Rothko made a fair amount of money, and like that commission he got would have been worth our equivalent of like a couple of £1 million these days.
Yeah.
But if he kind of stood up to that and said, no, I'm not doing it because I don't like the restaurant because it's very pretentious and you have to pay like, because he was kind of very
I think he spent a lot of his time.
moral person, I suppose.
But they were
But-
going to give him a lot of money, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Probably painted it.
Free meals too.
But no, abstract art isn't an easy thing to make money from.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, you've got to be. It's just like any other kind of art. You've got to be lucky, and you've got to be in the right place, at the right time. You've got to have obviously.
So many artists have died poor over
Yeah.
the years. And
Okay,
wondering-
so let's go through the answers now then. If everyone's ready? Everyone ready? So, what movement of art was Mark Rothko's mature and well-known style associated with? And there's two answers for this.
Colour field.
Yep,
Abstract expressionist.
yep, bang on. Which of these were formative influences on Mark Rothko's work? And then just circle any that you think apply. So which ones did you think?
Mythology.
Yeah, mythology.
The work of the philosopher.
Yeah, Nietzsche, I don't know how to say it. And that was it, actually. So, what did Rothko want to communicate? What did he want to communicate?
Basic human emotions.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, that's good. Okay. Now here comes the fun bit. You get to draw. I want you to draw what you perceive to be an abstract painting or picture drawing in this case. Just do what don't try and just do what you want basically, but try and make it what you now understand abstract art to be. Those are just some I did earlier. Okay, right. Paper and pencils. Yep. If you don't know where to start, what I tend to just do is just kind of, I just draw an initial shape, like something simple, like a circle, whatever you want, really.
Yes, you didn't give us pencils.
Oh, sorry.
I don't mean I
Not
know,
really.
just don't.
Yeah. Just draw anything. I mean, you can just draw scribbles if you want, and then kind of work around it and do something with it. Just do anything with it.
I do.
Well, yeah, doodling can, be, have abstract patterns and doodles and stuff like that.
And then I've chopped it in half and then watered it. That's my for the whole page.
Can I have some pretty colours, Chris?
Afraid not.
Pencil.
I'm afraid not, no. Didn't think you had enough. Next time, session 3 maybe. We'll move on to colour in session 3.
Is everybody mad?
You done? But yeah, that is abstract, yeah, definitely. We have lots of shapes all bundled together.
Very cool.
You've got a good, you've got a good balance in the composition actually. Do you know what composition is? It's just kind of like the arrangement of it. So that's alright. Yeah.
It doesn't
you've
do
understood. I mean,
anything
that's
for
not
me.
objective, isn't it?
At all.
I don't like its grammar.
I know, I just, it's not about being that, no, I just don't go.
It's very geometrical.
But I
Yeah.
just don't.
Do the geo. Well, it's abstract, definitely abstract. So doing the geometrical shapes.
I really don't see it.
Can we make it sort of a bit 3D or different?
Shape.
Yeah, do it like it's good. Always good to create kind of tension and stuff. Okay. So have a look at your picture in a second, but I think it's probably time that we went into the summarise of what we've learned in the session. Carry on drawing if you want, but overview.
I'm not an abstract.
So, what have we learned in this session? We've learned about the difference between representational and non-objective art. We've learned about the different styles of abstraction. And we've looked at the work of two important artists and answered questions about them. And we've drawn our own abstract pictures. So, yeah, achieved that in this session. And yeah, thank you very much. Could you please fill out an evaluation form at the end of the session so I can get feedback on how I've done and everything. Thank you very much.